My name's Kevin Heywood and I run and own AJ Heywood & Sons Agricultural and Groundworks Contractors. We've been in business since 1979, so it was founded by my father, Alan Heywood. So our main contracting is agricultural contracting. We cover all aspects of farm work, from silaging, ploughing, combining, through to arable, slurry and that. So pretty much everything that a farmer would want done, we can cover. Some of the main problems running your own contracting business mainly would be the weather, so we're always battling against that. Finding enough staff and trained staff, having enough machines. Some days we have too much, some days we don't have enough. So yeah, it's a balance between everything and sort of trying to provide the service that we can in a very short window. Prior to having AgDrive, everything was paper-based, so we'd have to rely on all the staff to record everything into the diaries and then transfer it over onto timesheets at the end of the week, which you can imagine in a busy time of year. Nobody really wants to be doing paperwork at 11 o'clock at night, so the guys were always behind with their timesheets, which is understandable, and then we'd have to spend probably at least a couple of weeks going through it all, trying to piece everything back together from the paper timesheet, so as you can imagine, it's quite a nightmare. The main pain points of doing a paper system would be, like I said, trying to get guys to hand in timesheets, but then piece everything back together. It's like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle without the box and that. So, you know, a month later, or sometimes more, when you do get a chance to do your paperwork, trying to remember what everybody did and that. Like I say, everything was written down, but it was quite a long process to bring it all back together. When we used to have like 60, 70 timesheets a month to go through, it's quite a task on its own. So we've been using AgDrive just over 12 months now. We started just before last season, we're now in our second season. We find it works well with other technology that we've been using for a long time, like the Ops Centre on the John Deere system with the Harvest Lab. We've been using that for 12, 13 years and that. And now that the lads, because they're always recording information from data from yields and dry matter, that sort of thing from the Harvest Labs, beforehand that all had to be handwritten with their timesheets, but now that can be entered into notes or put into some form on AgDrive. So the fact that all information can be recorded easily and quickly helps when we come to invoicing. There's no delays with paperwork, paper traces, and that it's all there in one place to be found quickly, which helps get the invoices out faster, which certainly helps with cash flow. So there's no delay in any part of what we do, from pulling into the field to sending an invoice. Hopefully everything's done as efficiently and as quickly as possible. So probably the main feature that I'd like about AgDrive is probably the simplicity of it, how easy it is to use. The guys pick it up quite quickly. There's nothing too technical about it. You enter your timesheets, which records the time for the week, and each job that they do is recorded and then sort of sent straight to an invoice and that. So it's quite simple for everyone to use, which if it's simple, then people will use it then. So another little feature of AgDrive, and it's quite a simple thing, but it can make all the difference, is when we've got a large amount of balers out, we can have 4 or 5 balers running around, doing a lot of acres, a lot of bales. The customers will quite often ring up later in the day or 2 or 3 hours after they've had a visit from a baler and ask how many bales they've got, so they know how many they've got to bring in, how many trailer loads they're going to be doing, and that. Beforehand we'd have to ring the driver, because he obviously hasn't been back to the yard yet, ask him how many bales they've got, ring the customer back, whereas now I can do it while the customer's on the phone, look on AgDrive, see how many bales has been recorded, and tell the customer there and then whether he's got 100 bales of hay or 20 bales of straw. So the time and money that's saved by using AgDrive, it's difficult to put an actual figure on it, but time-wise it's probably saving me at least 2 weeks of a month, because I can now do a month's invoices in a couple of days rather than 2 weeks trying to piece everything back together. So by being able to get the invoices out quicker, obviously helps with cash flow. So to actually put a true figure on it is quite difficult, but it's a reasonable amount of money. AgDrive's improved our cash flow by, I would say, probably at least 50%. It helps get invoices out faster, which obviously the faster they're sent out, the faster you're going to get paid. And it would be nothing to be 2-3 months behind on invoicing when you're in the thick of a season. You haven't got time to sit down and spend days and days going through timesheets. So the fact that I can spend a couple of days, or even just sit down for a couple of hours and send out a few invoices at a time, rather than having to try and get them all out at once, certainly helps with cash flow. So yeah, we've noticed a big improvement. Yeah, the support from AgDrive has been brilliant. Anytime we've had any sort of early issues, problems, and that, Will and the team's been brilliant. You could pick up the phone, speak to a real person, and lots of times they got the answer there and then, or if they haven't, they'll get back to you within a day or two and sort things out. Or if things we've noticed perhaps weren't working, maybe for us or others, they've been quite open to adapt the app to suit. So yeah. Going back to paper timesheets, yeah, it just wouldn't be an option now. When we've had new guys starting, to be able to actually show them the app, they're quite sort of pleased that they don't have to do paper timesheets if they've worked other places previously, and just shows that we are hopefully up and coming, forward-thinking contractor, which when you've got digital apps like AgDrive and that you use, it makes life a lot easier for us and the staff, and hopefully impresses the staff. Most of the operators took to it like a duck to water, especially the younger lads and that. Some of the older ones just took a little bit longer to convince them to start using it, but once they get into it, it's quite easy to use. And not just the tractor drivers, because obviously we have a groundworks side to the business. Even those lads have took to it quite well. They're doing more jobs where they're sort of only doing one job per day, and that, so it's actually probably easier for them. But also we've adapted it for materials. If they're going out with lorry loads of stone, it's all can be entered into QuickBooks under materials. So yeah, so concrete, stone, anything that's used can all be listed in that job, and so it's sent with QuickBooks as well on that. So it's quite an adaptable app, not just for ag, but also for other elements of other businesses as well. I mean, one of the improvements I'd like to see is to be able to use more admin that could use it at once, because we find that if we've got 2 or 3 office staff using it all at the same time, they have to go in as individual users, which then obviously you're paying for an individual user rather than a admin person, but you can have up to say 3 or 4 people under admin. So that's the only fault we found with it, that if I'm using it and 2 or 3 others in the office, I have to go in under my name rather than like a collective office sort of people. A couple of the lads have just said it'd be nice to have an option button not to see everybody else's jobs, so when they've gone into it to start a job, that all the other jobs for that day are being listed, and that, so it's nice to be able to see what others have done to compare hours, but it'd be nice just to have an option button that you can turn that off and on again. So to any other contractors or farmers who are thinking about using AgDrive, it's a bit of a no-brainer. We're all sort of a bit reluctant of new technology, and when you see apps advertised, you sort of think, are they as good as they look or advertise? And I would say, AgDrive is everything it says on the tin, and that it does what you want it to do and more, but in a sort of non-complicated way, and that's easy to use. The guys love it, makes life easier. Being linked to QuickBooks, it can be invoiced quickly. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's any reason why nobody would not want to use it.